Hi, Jeremy Skelos with Department of Ag and Natural Resources. Been working with discharges here for a while now. We're on the Trent site for the Big Sioux, and we're going to be taking a discharge here. This is typically what we'll do here is take a discharge at our location, but this one we have a lot of turbulent water on the right bank side that makes it difficult to get a discharge, especially with the rocks and stuff being under there that the radar doesn't know what it's looking at in the profile. So we'll start off here to just get our basic information on here, get our date, site we're at, the time of day is 1:16. We have to have the time of day so we can tie back our wire weight to our gauge reading. So now we'll open up the box. First off, we get the bar reading, which just sets the weight right on the bar. And you look over to read the numbers on the left, which is 8. And then on the wire wheel, you can see it's got the pin pointing at about 46. So it's 8.46. Then we enter that 8.46 on the sheet. And now we can take the water reading. So when you have some waves, you can try to take a reading at the top of the wave and then lower it down to where it kind of meets the bottom of the wave. And from those two readings on your wire weight, you can just average it. So here, our top reading of the waves seems to be at 88.32, and our bottom of the waves kind of comes out to be about 88.28. So then our average would be 88.3. Now we can close this up and go take a discharge at our other site. After you have WinRiver open, just go to File, New Measurement. Here we'll just enter in our location. In the site number, if it's multiple times that you've been at this site, you might have to put another number behind it, as this is how it stores its name. But for now, we'll just call this Trent. Enter in your name for the field party and everybody involved. Your water temperature can be put here. Then it's going to try to connect to the StreamPro or RiverRay. Once it's connected, it'll fill in some of the information. Since we're using the StreamPro at this time, our transducer depth is 1.17. After that, we need to put in the depth of our stream, which we're going to estimate at about 5 feet. This other stuff for water speed is not necessary. If we had low water and a low speed for the water, we would change the model that the water mode was using. But in this case, we're good. If it's below 3 feet and under 1/8 of a foot per second, then you would change to the other mode. But for this, we're good. Now we have the name in here. It's going to create the file. And we just go and finish this. From here, we'll go to acquire and we'll execute ADCP test. Everything passed, so we're good. Now we can start pinging. From here we can see our water depth is right around 4 feet. So we're probably not too far off with our 5 foot, but we could go back in there and change it to 4 foot. And in order to that, we can do a stop pinging and configuration wizard. We can change this from 5 to 4. The thing that benefits from this is the number of cells and the cell size that is given to the ADCP. Since there will be smaller cell sizes, we'll have more cells, making it a little bit more accurate. It also makes it so that we can get into further on the banks, as we need 2 cells and on each side. And if our cells are too big, we can't get as close to the bank. So now we'll start up the pinging again. So now it's reading down to 3 point some feet. Everything in this below this line is getting interpolated by the program. And everything above here, which this line right here is our 0.7 or our 0.17 mark, and everything above there is also being interpolated by the program. Now we'll go find about the middle of the stream to do a bed test. All right, so now we've gone to where we have a little bit more discharge in the middle of the river so that we can do a stationary bed test. We do it in the middle where we have the most flow, so we'll be able to see if we have a moving bed test or not. Here it's telling us that the compass has not been calibrated and wondering if we want to continue. You can calibrate the compass on some models. This model has a compass on it. Not all of them do. If you did have a compass, you can do a moving bed test that's not static, but for this test, it's easier just to do a static test. So we'll hit yes. We have the stationary test selected instead of the loop, and we'll hit OK. We will now let this run for 300 seconds. You can find the time, the duration, right at the bottom on this side of the screen. We're at 300 seconds, so now we'll stop the moving bed test. This screen says we've moved about 5.68 feet according to what it assumes is a stationary position. So that will be figured into the moving bed of the program. If it is a significant amount of feet, you'll want to do 3 tests, but this is a low amount, and we'll go with this as being a good test for this site. So then now, after it gets back to pinging, we can start moving into position. All right, we found the location on the left bank where we're going to start. We have a couple of cells here that are kind of in and out sometimes, but we'll start here, we'll acquire, and we'll start the transect. This also can be done by hitting F5. So it started now, but we need to put the feet in here, and we're at about 6 feet from the edge, and we are on the right edge, so we'll switch that. We'll hit OK, and we're past 10 epochs, so we can start. Here we're just going to go across the stream at less than the rate of speed that the water is moving at. The main thing is to be consistent as we go along without hitting debris or something in the river. Now we're approaching to the edge where we can bring this boat. So we'll bring it right up to the log on this site. There, now that we're in place, we'll go 10 epochs. We'll count that. We started at about 186, so we'll go to 196. Then we'll hit F5. Our distance is about 10 feet, so we'll put that in there and hit OK. So now we can start up again, and we'll start the recording again now with F5, and we can just hit enter, and it automatically starts us on the correct side. And we can start pulling it this way again. Back to our marker here. Once you get to the rock, then we'll sit here starting now again. Started at 144, looking for, we'll do 146 because we got a skip in there. 156, 157. We should be good now. So we went a little bit longer because we had just a couple of skips. All it's looking for is 10 actual readings. So that's what we try to put on the end, and then we can shut it down. So then we could continue going on, and we'll go until we get to 12 minutes total time, and then we can complete the reading. All right, so we made our 12 minutes on display here. You can run it over to the right. Our duration is right here, and we can see we meet the 720. So we can complete this measurement, hit acquire. We can stop pinging. I didn't go all the way to the bottom, that you didn't have a full reading when you set it up, or something hit the boat, or you took too much time on something, and then you might want to discard it. But for the most part, we check no, as we want all the transects brought in. So now we're looking at this. Our temperature reading is a little bit different, but that's not a big problem. Our moving bed test, it says that it says there was a moving bed, so we are going to have to go back to the WinRiver and do 2 more bed tests. And this is a way you can tell if the program assumes a bed test or not. So you don't have to try to make sense of what WinRiver tells you. Otherwise, everything in here looks good. Going back to the main, our grade is 3.7 for this discharge. Anything under 5 is good. If we were just over 5, I would probably do another discharge, but since we are at 3.7, we're going to call this a good discharge. All right, we've moved to a new location to take another bed test. This is halfway in between where we would assume the most bed movement is at the highest rate of discharge to right in the middle between low discharge and high discharge. So we can get a moving bed here. Then we will move to the other side and right in between the high and low, and we'll go take another discharge there. We need just 3 for the calculations, and it will figure out the rest. Now we're here with the the river ray. We're gonna set this thing up to take a discharge. Sometimes you want to use the ray for different higher flow events, or if the stream is too dirty, the StreamPro can't see through the grit and grime, so then it becomes something we have to take the ray to. If we have a really high discharge that we're past 5 feet per second, then we have to use the ray. If we're under those readings, which right now all the Big Sioux is pretty much at that point, but the ray is still something that might be available for different conditions. So we're hooking up to the ray now. For it, since we'll just go back to checking the ADCP. Since we connected to the StreamPro earlier, it doesn't know which COM it's on, so at this point we'll say no, and then typically the last COM is the COM that it's going to be on. So now that we click that COM, it should connect to the ray. Now it's got a green light, so it connected. We have the internal GPS. Even though it looks like it's an external to GPS, it's still considered an internal. We always want this at 19,200. Our transducer depth for this, we've measured at 0.21. We have our mag variation declination in here at 2.7 that we got from an app. All the other settings were what the river is set at. So then we can go on from there, and this site's all set up. Now we'll go into calibrating the compass, which is execute compass calibration. It may take a little while to open up. Now it's open, we'll start calibration. And again, it'll take a little while to get started. Okay, it started, so we'll start rotating the boat in a clockwise position to get all the bars lit up. Green or dark green is required. Anything below that, yellow, orange, red, and the reading will not take. So we just move it real slowly in a place that is fairly close to our site. Now that that's complete, we can hit OK, and we will start rotating the boat in the opposite direction. There, it's complete. Now it's processing it. The process for this is the same for the River Ray as the StreamPro. Here it's saying that our calibration is worse than the previous calibration, but we will accept it because this is a different location. Now it's going to apply it. It's been loaded. It should give us the error is 0.8, which we want. Anything under 2 is acceptable. Alright, anytime storing the ray or calibrating it, we want to make sure the cover is on it so nothing is getting scratched, as that will damage the transducer. Alright, we're back at our wire weight gauge to finish our measurement. And the top of our waves are going to be at 88.31. I'd say our bottom is at 88.28. So the average would be about 88.295. Time is 2:41.